Do you know, there are places that don't need to be abandoned to be haunted? They don't need broken windows. They don't need warning signs. They don't even need darkness. They function. They operate. They earn money. And yet, after a certain hour, they stop belonging to the living. This story begins in Washington State, just outside Seattle, in a corporate office park surrounded by dense trees and constant rain. During the day it feels safe. Clean glass buildings, security gates, cafes nearby, employees with ID cards hanging from their necks, walking fast with coffee in hand. No one would ever believe something was wrong here. And that is exactly why it works. In the year 2010, a young engineer named Daniel Harris joined one of the tech firms operating inside this campus. Daniel was not special, and that mattered. He wasn't reckless. He wasn't curious about ghosts. He didn't believe in anything supernatural. He believed in effort. Daniel came from a struggling family in Oregon. His father's health was failing. His mother worked 2 jobs. Daniel carried the silent pressure of being the one who would fix things. This job wasn't just employment, it was responsibility. On his first day, the sky was gray. It always was. As Daniel approached the main gate, a security guard raised his hand. "Stop a second." Daniel showed his offer letter, explaining it was his first day. The guard nodded, then studied Daniel's face longer than necessary. His eyes were tired. Not sleepy, experienced. "You're assigned to day shift, right?" the guard asked. "Yes," Daniel replied. The guard seemed relieved. "Good. Try to keep it that way." Daniel smiled awkwardly. "Is there overtime here?" The guard didn't smile back. "People don't stay late." That sentence hung in the air longer than it should have. Before Daniel could ask anything, the guard waved him through. At the time, Daniel assumed it was just workplace culture. Some offices discouraged overtime. Some guards were dramatic. He walked in. What Daniel didn't see was the guard quietly touching the metal railing, a habit he only did after sunset. The first few weeks passed without incident. Daniel worked hard. He arrived early, left before dark, learned the layout. The building had 13 floors, though no one ever mentioned that number out loud. People just called it upper floor. Small things stood out. Lights in empty rooms sometimes flickered, not dramatically, just enough to notice. Elevators occasionally stopped on floors no one had selected. Security guards changed shifts exactly at sunset, never late. Once, Daniel overheard coworkers discussing dinner plans. "Let's finish before 6, one of them said. Another replied, "Yeah, I don't like being here after that." No one explained why. Daniel didn't ask. People who need jobs don't ask unnecessary questions. Everything changed on a Thursday. Daniel's manager stopped by his desk around 4:30 p.m., placing a thick folder down. "Tomorrow morning presentation," she said. "Client review. I need it clean." Daniel flipped through the pages. It was a lot. "I'll finish it tonight," he said. She shook her head immediately. "No, take it home. Don't stay." Her tone wasn't professional, it was firm. Daniel hesitated. "I work better here." She paused, then softened her voice. "Everyone does. Still, leave." By 5:50 p.m., the office was empty. Daniel sat alone, staring at his screen. He thought of his parents, the bills, the pressure. 10 more minutes, he told himself. Then he kept working. At 6:30, something shifted. Not a sound, a feeling. The building didn't go quiet. It went hollow. The air conditioning continued, but it felt distant, like the sound was traveling through water. Daniel became acutely aware of his own breathing. He stood up. The sound of his chair scraping echoed far longer than it should have. Daniel checked his phone. No signal. That hadn't happened before. At 7:15, his work was done. Relieved, Daniel packed his bag and walked toward the elevator. The hallway lights were still on. Too many of them. The elevator button glowed when he pressed it. As it descended, it stopped on every floor. No one entered. No footsteps. No voices. Just the soft mechanical ding. Then, something else. A sound that didn't belong. Soft. Broken. Like a child trying not to cry. Daniel froze. The sound came from the right side of the hallway. There were no offices there, just storage rooms. He turned his head slowly. Nothing. The elevator doors opened. Daniel stepped inside and pressed ground floor. The doors closed. The elevator didn't move. 5 seconds passed. 10. Daniel pressed the button again. Nothing. His reflection stared back at him from the metallic doors. The lights inside flickered slightly, making his face look unfamiliar, stretched, pale. Then the doors opened on their own. Same floor. Same hallway. The elevator doors closed again, and this time descended. Without him, Daniel stood alone. His heartbeat was loud now. He chose the stairs. The stairwell smelled old, damp, like rain trapped in concrete. Each step echoed too clearly. By the time Daniel reached the ground floor, his hands were shaking, not from fear, he told himself, but exhaustion. At the exit, the night guard stared at him. "You were inside," the guard said quietly. "After 6. Daniel nodded. "I finished work." The guard swallowed. "The front gate's locked," he said. "Use the back exit." Then he leaned closer. "Don't stop. Don't talk. And if you see anyone, no matter how normal they look, keep walking." Daniel laughed nervously. "Is this some kind of joke?" The guard didn't answer. He unlocked the back door. Cold air rushed in, and somewhere behind the buildings, water reflected the lights. Still waiting. Do you know why some places build water features? Ponds, artificial lakes, reflecting pools. They say it's for beauty, for calm, for balance. But water remembers. And the pond behind the office park in Redwood Corporate Campus, Washington, remembered everything. Daniel stepped out through the back exit, the heavy metal door slamming shut behind him with a finality that made his chest tighten. The night air was colder than expected. The rain had stopped, but the ground was wet, reflecting the tall glass buildings like broken mirrors. Motion lights flickered on as he walked, then turned off again behind him as if the darkness itself was following. The guard's words repeated in his mind. "Don't stop. Don't talk. Don't look too closely." Daniel adjusted his bag strap and began walking faster. That's when he saw the pond. It wasn't large, not dramatic, just a carefully designed artificial lake between two office buildings. A bench sat near the edge. Decorative lights lined the water, casting soft golden reflections across the surface. And someone was sitting there. A woman. Daniel slowed despite himself. She sat perfectly still on the bench, facing the water. Long dark hair, light-colored dress. Her feet were close to the edge, almost touching the surface. At first, Daniel assumed she was crying. Her shoulders moved slightly. Her head was bowed. Every instinct told him to keep walking. But another instinct, older, more dangerous, pulled him closer. "Hey," Daniel said softly. "Are you okay?" The woman didn't turn. "I didn't mean to bother you," he added. It's late. This place closes." That's when she spoke. "I know." Her voice was calm. Too calm. She turned slowly. She looked normal. That was the worst part. Mid-20s. Pale skin. Dark, thoughtful eyes. No visible injuries. No blood. No signs of distress beyond the tears on her cheeks. "I come here when it gets quiet," she said. "It helps." Daniel hesitated. "Do you work here?" She nodded. "Used to." The word landed strangely. "I'm Daniel," he said. "Engineering." She smiled faintly. "Emily." Something about her smile made his chest ache. Not fear, not attraction, but familiarity. Like remembering a dream you never had. They sat in silence for a moment. The pond was unnaturally still. No ripples. No insects. No wind touching the water. Emily spoke again. "People don't stay late anymore," she said. "No," Daniel replied. "Apparently not. They leave before it starts." Daniel frowned. "Before what starts?" Emily didn't answer. Instead, she asked, "Do you like it here?" Daniel thought of his family. The pressure. The long hours. "I need it," he said honestly. Emily nodded as if she understood better than anyone ever had. I needed it too. They talked. About work. About stress. About feeling invisible. Minutes passed. Then an hour. Daniel didn't notice the time. He didn't notice the lights around the campus shutting off one by one. He didn't notice how quiet everything had become. Emily stood. I should go, she said. Will I see you again? Daniel asked before he could stop himself. She smiled again. I'm always here. She walked away toward the main building. Daniel watched her disappear through the glass doors, doors that should have been locked. The next morning, Daniel arrived early. He found the same guard at the gate. You're back, the guard said, studying his face. Yeah, Daniel replied. Hey, can I ask you something? The guard sighed. You spoke to someone last night. Daniel's stomach tightened. How did you? You did, the guard said flatly. Didn't you? Daniel nodded. A woman, Emily, by the pond. The guard closed his eyes. Son, he said quietly, there was no woman. That's not possible, Daniel replied. We talked for over an hour. You sat alone, the guard said, talking to empty air. Daniel laughed nervously. No, I saw her. She works here. The guard leaned closer. Listen carefully. No one works here at night. Not anymore. Daniel's voice dropped. Who is she? The guard hesitated. Years ago, he said, a woman jumped from the upper floor. 13th. Daniel's mouth went dry. She landed near the pond, the guard continued. Didn't die immediately. Daniel felt sick. She worked here. Long hours. Pressure. No support. The guard looked directly at him. She waits. For what? Daniel whispered. For someone who stays. Daniel didn't respond. That night he stayed again. The building felt different now. Not hollow. Hungry. The elevator stopped on the 13th floor again. This time Daniel stepped out. The hallway lights flickered violently. The air was cold, sharp, pressing against his chest. He heard footsteps ahead, barely audible. Emily, he called. A door was open at the far end. She stood inside, smiling. I was hoping you'd come, she said. Behind her, the window was open. Rain poured in despite the clear sky outside. Everyone leaves, she said. You didn't. Daniel took a step back. Emily, he said, what happened to you? Her smile cracked. They told me to wait, she said softly. Just one more night. Just one more deadline. The lights went out. When they came back on, Emily was standing closer. Too close. Stay with me, she whispered. I don't like being alone. The sound of water echoed through the hallway, and somewhere below, the pond rippled. Do you know why some buildings skip the 13th floor? It's not superstition. It's memory. Daniel stepped backward, his heel catching on the carpet as Emily stood far closer than she had any right to be. The hallway lights flickered again, not randomly this time, but in sequence, like something breathing. In or out, Emily said gently. You're blocking the doorway. Her voice sounded layered now. One voice over another. One tired. One hollow. Daniel's throat tightened. You said you worked here. I still do, she replied. Thunder rolled somewhere above the ceiling. Impossible. The sky had been clear. Daniel turned to run. The hallway stretched. Not longer wrong. Like space itself had loosened, pulling away from him. His footsteps sounded delayed, as if the building had to decide whether to let the sound exist. He reached the stairwell door and yanked it open. Darkness. The stairwell lights snapped on all at once. And stopped. No glow. Just a sudden, suffocating absence of light. Then, footsteps. Slow. Bare. Coming up. Daniel slammed the door shut and staggered backward, heart hammering so hard he felt dizzy. The office around him was no longer familiar. Cubicles stood empty, screens glowing faintly with frozen spreadsheets dated years ago. Not last quarter. Years. Emily's voice drifted through the room. They don't leave, she said. Not all of them. Daniel spun. She stood beside his desk now. I watched them, she continued. One by one. Strong people. Smart people. People who said they'd only stay late once. Her eyes darkened. They never go home. Daniel's vision tunneled. What do you want from me? He asked. Emily looked confused. I want you to stay, she said. That's what everyone wants. The temperature dropped sharply. Daniel's breath fogged the air. No, he said. I'm leaving. Emily's face twitched. I tried, she said quietly. I really tried. The windows behind her rattled violently. I waited, she whispered, and waited, and when I realized no one was coming, her voice broke. The lights went out completely. Daniel felt pressure slam into his chest, like invisible hands forcing the air from his lungs. He dropped to his knees, gasping. Something crawled across the ceiling. Not a shadow, a shape. I didn't mean to hurt anyone, Emily said, her voice now echoing from everywhere. But this place, it keeps us. Daniel clawed forward, dragging himself toward the exit sign glowing faintly at the end of the room. The pressure lifted just enough. He ran. The guard was already running toward him when Daniel burst out the front entrance, sobbing and gasping like he'd been underwater too long. Inside, the guard said, pulling him into the security booth. Now. Daniel collapsed onto the floor, shaking uncontrollably. She's there, Daniel choked out. She wants me to stay. The guard locked the door. She always does. Daniel stared at him. Why is this still open? Why hasn't anyone shut this place down? The guard laughed once. Bitter. They tried. The guard sat down slowly. Every company that moves and thinks they're smarter, he said. New management. New lighting. New security. Same floor, Daniel whispered. The guard nodded. Same pond. Daniel remembered the still water. The reflections that didn't move. How many? Daniel asked. The guard didn't answer immediately. Enough, he said finally. Daniel stayed home the next day, and the next, but the dream started immediately. He dreamed of water. Cold. Heavy. Pulling. He dreamed of sitting at his desk while people walked past him like he didn't exist. Their faces blurred. Their voices muffled. He dreamed of Emily standing behind him, her hand resting on his shoulder. Just finish this, she would whisper. Every night the same ending. The sound of glass breaking. The rush of air. The impact. Daniel woke up screaming. On the fourth night his phone rang. Unknown number. He answered without thinking. Daniel, Emily said. His blood ran cold. You didn't say goodbye. Daniel threw the phone across the room. The next morning his access badge was on his kitchen table. He hadn't brought it home. The badge was wet. Daniel returned to the campus at noon. He told himself daylight would make it different. It didn't. The pond looked darker than before. The water was no longer still. Slow ripples spread across its surface, though there was no wind. The guard watched him approach. You shouldn't be here, the guard said. I need answers, Daniel replied. The guard hesitated, then nodded. Come with me. They didn't take the elevator. They took the stairs. Each step downward felt heavier than the last, as if the building were resisting them. The air thickened with each floor. They stopped at a locked door beneath the stairwell. The guard unlocked it. Inside was a narrow maintenance room. And photographs. Pinned to corkboards. Faces. Men. Women. Different ages. Different companies. Same building. Same floor. Some were smiling. Some were blurred. Some looked like they'd been photographed mid-scream. Those are the ones who stayed too long, the guard said. Daniel's eyes landed on one photograph near the center. Emily, alive, smiling, wearing a badge dated 7 years ago. What happened to her? Daniel asked. The guard swallowed. She didn't jump, he said. Not at first. Daniel turned slowly. She waited, the guard continued. Days, nights, sleeping under her desk, working, waiting for approval that never came. He looked at Daniel. She jumped when she realized no one was coming. Daniel backed away. And now? Daniel asked. The lights flickered. The door behind them slammed shut. The guard's face drained of color. She doesn't want to be alone anymore. The pond outside rippled violently. And upstairs, someone started crying. The crying didn't come from one direction. It came from everywhere. Daniel stood frozen in the maintenance room as the sound seeped through the walls, soft at first, like a child trying not to be heard, then louder, layered, multiplied. Men, women, some sobbing, some whispering, some laughing through tears. The guard reached for the door handle again. Lock. That door never locks, he whispered. The lights flickered, then stabilized into a dull, sickly yellow. The photographs on the wall trembled, corners lifting as if stirred by a breath that wasn't air. Daniel's phone buzzed in his pocket. He didn't want to look. He already knew. Unknown number. The guard grabbed Daniel's wrist. Don't answer. The phone stopped vibrating, then buzzed again. Harder. Daniel pulled his hand free and answered. Daniel, Emily said. Her voice was closer now. Not through the phone, around him. I told you, she said gently. You shouldn't have come back alone. The crying stopped. Silence dropped so suddenly it hurt. Then the maintenance room door creaked open on its own. Beyond it, the stairwell yawned open like a throat. The guard backed away, shaking his head. No, not again. Not today. Footsteps echoed from above. Slow. Measured. Bare feet against concrete. Daniel caught a glimpse of movement at the top of the stairs, a shape too thin, too long, bending where joints shouldn't. Run, the guard hissed. They bolted. They didn't go up. They went down. The stairwell spiraled deeper than Daniel remembered, the numbers on the walls peeling away until the floors stopped being numbered at all. The air grew colder, wetter, thick with the smell of rust and stagnant water. The crying returned, closer now. You hear them too, right? Daniel gasped. The guard nodded, eyes wild. They follow anyone who listens. The stairwell ended at a steel door marked restricted access. The guard slammed into it, fumbling with keys. The footsteps above accelerated. Running now. The door burst open and they stumbled inside. The room beyond wasn't a basement. It was older. Stone walls. Pipes bolted directly into rock. Water dripping steadily into shallow channels cut into the floor. And names. Hundreds of names carved into the walls. Some scratched hastily. Some etched carefully. All human. The guard dropped to his knees. This wasn't supposed to exist, he whispered. Daniel scanned the walls, dread crawling up his spine. Then he saw it. Emily Carter. Carved deeper than the rest. Below it newer. Daniel Reeves. His stomach lurched. I didn't, he started. You don't have to, Emily said. She stood at the far end of the chamber. Not solid. Not quite real. Her feet hovered inches above the wet stone. Behind her, others emerged, shapes peeling themselves out of the walls, faces half-formed, eyes hollow and desperate. Office clothes. Security uniforms. Janitorial overalls. All of them watching. I tried to warn you, Emily said. But the building likes you. Daniel shook his head violently. I don't belong here. Emily smiled sadly. None of us did. The water at their feet began to rise. Daniel woke up screaming. He was in his apartment. Morning light filtered through the blinds. His chest hurt like he'd been crushed. For a moment, he convinced himself it had all been a dream. Then he saw his shoes. What? Mud streaked across the floor. His phone lay on the table. A new message. A known number. You left before the tour was finished. Daniel didn't go back to work. He didn't answer calls. He didn't sleep. Every reflective surface showed him something different. His face lagging behind his movements, his eyes blinking out of sync. At night, he heard water dripping. Always 3 drops. Always from the same corner. On the third night, the fire alarm went off at 3:13 a.m. Not his building. The office campus. He knew without checking. And somehow, God help him, he went. The campus was alive. Lights blazed in windows that had been dark for years. Cars filled the parking lot. Laughter drifted through open doors. Daniel stepped inside the lobby and froze. People everywhere. Typing. Talking. Drinking coffee. Alive. Normal. A man brushed past him. You're late, he said casually. Daniel grabbed his arm. What day is it? The man frowned. Monday. Daniel looked at the screens. Dates flashed across them. 7 years ago. Emily stood by the elevators, solid now. Smiling. Welcome, she said. You finally accepted. No, Daniel said hoarsely. This isn't real. Emily gestured around them. It's real enough. The elevators dinged. Doors slid open. Inside, faces stared back at him. Familiar. The photographs. The carved names. all looking expectant. "You don't have to jump," Emily said softly. "Not anymore." Daniel backed away. "I'm leaving." Emily's smile faded. The building groaned. Lights flickered. People froze mid-motion. "You always say that," she whispered. The floor dropped out from under him. Daniel fell and woke up in the pond. Cold water dragged him down, his hands wrapped around his ankles, wrists, chest. Faces pressed close, mouths open in silent screams, eyes begging. "Stay." He fought, kicking, clawing, lungs burning. Above him, the surface rippled. A hand broke through. The guard. Daniel surged upward, air exploding into his lungs as he was dragged free and collapsed onto the grass. The campus was dark again. Empty. Silent. The guard shook him. "Listen to me," he said urgently. "You don't come back. Ever. Not even to look." Daniel coughed, shaking. "What happens if I do?" The guard stared at the building. "They carve your name." Daniel looked back once. The 13th floor window glowed faintly. A silhouette watched him, waiting. Daniel didn't return to his apartment that night. He couldn't. The smell of pond water clung to his clothes, his skin, his thoughts. Every time he closed his eyes, he felt hands again, dozens of them, pulling, pleading, anchoring him to something that didn't want to let go. He drove until the city thinned, until office towers gave way to gas stations and empty diners humming under fluorescent lights. He parked beneath a broken street lamp and sat there until dawn, knuckles white on the steering wheel, heart refusing to slow. At sunrise, his phone rang. A blocked number. He let it ring. It stopped, then rang again. Against his better judgment, he answered. "Daniel," the voice said. "Not Emily." The guard. "You didn't listen," he said quietly. Daniel swallowed. "I left." "You came back," the guard replied. "That counts." The line went dead. By noon, the symptoms started. It began with sound. A low, rhythmic hum like an HVAC system buried deep underground. It followed him, through traffic, into stores, even into the diner where he tried to eat and failed. The hum grew louder when he stopped moving, softer when he walked. Like breathing. The building was breathing. By evening, reflections betrayed him. In a storefront window, Daniel saw himself standing still while his reflection smiled. He spun around. Nothing. At a gas station restroom, the mirror fogged even though the room was cold. Words slowly traced themselves through the condensation. "Come back." Daniel smashed the mirror with his elbow and fled. He stayed with a friend that night. Or tried to. Sleep came in fragments, each one poisoned. He dreamed of cubicles filling with water. Of keyboards clicking by themselves. Of elevators descending past numbers into places without names. At exactly 3:13 a.m., every electronic device in the house powered on. TVs, phones, laptops, all showing the same image. The office lobby. Empty. Lights flickering. Then movement. A figure stepped into view. Emily. Her face was wrong. Too smooth. Too calm. "Daniel," she said, her voice echoing unnaturally, "you're making this difficult." Every screen shut off at once. The house fell silent. Daniel didn't wait for morning. The guard met him at a roadside cafe just after dawn. Up close, the man looked older than Daniel remembered. His eyes were sunken, skin sallow, hands shaking slightly as he wrapped them around a coffee mug. "You were supposed to be smart," the guard muttered. "Most people don't go back after the first invitation." Daniel stiffened. "Invitation." The guard laughed bitterly. "That's what it is. It doesn't drag people in. It asks, shows you what you want. Companionship, belonging, closure." Daniel thought of Emily's smile. The way the building had looked alive. "What happens to the ones who say yes?" he asked. The guard didn't answer immediately. Instead, he pulled a folded piece of paper from his jacket and slid it across the table. A floor plan. Not official. Hand-drawn. "This is beneath the campus," the guard said. "Older than the buildings." The pond wasn't decorative. It was containment. Daniel traced the map with his finger. At the center was a shape labeled simply, the core. "The building feeds it," the guard continued. People work late, stay alone, feel seen, heard, and when they're ready, he tapped the map. They're absorbed. Daniel's throat tightened. Why hasn't anyone stopped it? The guard's eyes darkened. They tried. The guard told him everything. Decades ago, before the campus existed, the land had been marshland dotted with sinkholes. Workers building the first foundation had broken into an underground chamber, stone-lined, ancient, wrong. Equipment failed. Men vanished. A temporary pond was dug to drain water. It didn't drain. Strange things followed. Accidents, suicides, disappearances. The company covered it up, built over it, buried it deeper. But some things don't like being buried. The building learned, the guard said. Learned how to mimic, how to remember, how to invite. Daniel clenched his fists. So what do we do? The guard met his gaze. We starve it. That night they went back. Not to work, to end it. The campus gates were open. No guards, no cameras. Lights flickered on as Daniel stepped inside as if sensing him. The hum returned, stronger now. Don't listen, the guard warned. No matter what it shows you. They descended through service stairs, bypassing elevators, deeper and deeper until concrete gave way to stone. The air thickened. Whispers brushed Daniel's ears. Stay. You belong. The chamber opened before them. The core. It pulsed faintly, a massive organic shape fused with cables, pipes, and concrete, like a heart wrapped in architecture. Faces pressed against its surface from the inside, mouths opening and closing in silent screams. Emily's face emerged among them. Her eyes met Daniel's. You came back for me, she said softly. Daniel hesitated. The guard shoved the device into his hands. Now. Daniel slammed it against the central node. The building screamed. Lights shattered. Walls cracked. The faces writhed. Emily screamed, not in anger but in grief. No, she cried. We were finally together. The core convulsed, collapsing inward as water surged from the pond channels, flooding the chamber. The guard dragged Daniel toward the stairs as the structure groaned. You don't get to keep us, the guard shouted into the roar. They ran. Behind them, the building exhaled, one final thunderous breath. The collapse made the news. Structural failure. Sinkhole. Negligence. The campus was condemned overnight. Demolition scheduled. Bodies were never found. Daniel stood across the street days later, watching crews fence the place off. He felt lighter, but not free. Sometimes when it rained, he heard the hum again, faint, distant. Waiting. Because places like that don't die. They migrate. They remember. And somewhere, beneath concrete and steel, something hungry is learning how to breathe again. Demolition didn't happen the way they promised. Daniel learned that within a week. The fences went up. Warning signs followed. News vans camped outside the campus for 2 days, filming cracked pavement and officials shaking their heads gravely. Structural failure. Environmental hazard. Legal review. Delay. Always delay. Daniel stood across the street one evening, hands buried in his jacket pockets, watching the office building rot in real time. Windows were dark now, but not empty. He could feel it, an awareness lingering behind the glass, patient and insulted. The hum hadn't stopped. It was quieter, yes, like a creature injured but not killed. A heartbeat heard through layers of soil. Daniel hadn't slept properly since the collapse. When he did sleep, he dreamed of breathing walls and staircases that folded inward like ribs. Sometimes he woke with mud on his shoes. He didn't remember leaving his apartment. The guard disappeared 3 days after the incident. Daniel tried calling. The number was disconnected. He drove to the roadside cafe where they'd met, but the waitress swore no one matching the description had been there in years. Years. Daniel checked public records, employment files, security logs. Nothing. It was as if the guard had been written out, redacted from reality. That should have been his first warning. The symptoms evolved. The whispers stopped, replaced by something worse. Understanding. Daniel began noticing patterns. How certain buildings felt heavier than others, how older structures hummed faintly if he focused, how reflections lagged by a fraction of a second when he passed mirrored surfaces. Once, in an elevator downtown, he saw faint handprints appear on the ceiling as the doors closed. They faded when the doors opened. No one else reacted. He stopped telling people what he saw. He learned quickly that silence was safer. Emily returned 2 weeks later. Not in person. In voicemail. Daniel found it waiting on his phone one morning, timestamped 3:13 a.m. He hadn't received a call. Just the message. Static crackled, then her voice, clear, intimate, wrong. "You did what you thought was right," she said. "But you didn't finish it." Daniel deleted the message. It reappeared the next day. And the next. Always the same. He stopped listening. That didn't stop her from talking. The dreams changed. Now he dreamed of other places. A hospital wing sealed off after midnight. A parking garage beneath a shopping mall where cars rusted untouched. An abandoned subway spur sealed behind concrete. In every dream he felt the same pressure, the sense of being gently guided, encouraged. Look, the dream seemed to say, "We're still here." Daniel woke each time with the taste of pond water in his mouth. The city council finally announced the demolition date. 3 weeks out. Daniel didn't believe it would last that long. He returned to the campus after midnight, slipping past temporary fencing like muscle memory had never left him. The building loomed, cracked but upright, a wounded animal refusing to fall. The lobby lights flickered on as he entered. "Still listening," Daniel muttered. The hum intensified. This time it didn't feel hungry. It felt curious. He followed the sound, not down but sideways toward a corridor he didn't remember existing. The walls here were newer, cleaner, as if the building had grown them recently. At the end of the hall stood a door marked Archives. Daniel hesitated, then opened it. Inside were boxes. Hundreds of them. Files stacked floor to ceiling, labeled by year. Not company records. People. Names. Photos. Personal effects sealed in plastic. Wallets. Watches. Phones. Daniel's breath hitched as he flipped through a file. Emily Carter. Status, integrated. Below it, dozens more. Integrated. 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 The building hadn't just fed. It cataloged. Remembered. Daniel felt a presence behind him. "You found our memory," Emily said gently. He turned. She stood in the doorway, whole and terrible and calm. Her eyes reflected the archive shelves infinitely. "You're not real," Daniel said. She smiled. "Neither is a building that thinks." She stepped closer. The air thickened. "You damaged us," she continued. "But damage isn't death. You collapsed one chamber. Others remain." Daniel's chest tightened. "Why show me this?" Emily tilted her head. "Because you're different now. You hear us. You understand structure. You feel foundations." She placed a hand over his heart. "We need architects." Daniel stumbled backward, knocking over a box. Photographs spilled across the floor, faces frozen mid-laugh, mid-life. "I'm not joining you," he said. Emily's expression softened. "You already have." The walls pulsed. The hum synchronized with his heartbeat. Daniel felt it then, the truth he'd been circling since the collapse. The building hadn't let him go. It had seated him. He ran. The campus fought him, doors closing, hallways stretching, but he forced his way out, lungs burning, ears ringing. Outside, the night air felt thin, unreal. Daniel collapsed on the pavement, gasping. Above him, the building's windows flickered like blinking eyes. He understood now. The core had been a heart, but hearts have vessels, and vessels reach outward. In the days that followed, Daniel changed. He could sense where the thin places were, structures built over forgotten ground, renovations done too quickly, basements sealed without reason. He knew which elevators to avoid, which stairwells led nowhere. And worse, he knew how to strengthen them. Blueprints made sense to him now in ways they never had. Structural diagrams felt intuitive. He could look at a building and see where to reinforce, where to connect. The knowledge arrived unasked, unwanted. The city offered him a consulting job. Urban redevelopment. Adaptive reuse. He almost laughed. The night before demolition, Daniel returned one last time. Not to stop it, to listen. The building was quiet now. No hum. No whispers. Just a faint sense of satisfaction. As if it knew something he didn't. When the explosives finally went off the next morning, the collapse was clean, efficient, final. The crowd applauded. Daniel didn't. As the dust settled, he felt it, threads tightening across the city, subtle alignments clicking into place. The building was gone, but the idea of it wasn't. That night, Daniel dreamed of blueprints spreading like veins beneath the streets. And somewhere deep below, something inhaled. The city felt different once the building was gone. Daniel noticed it immediately, not as absence but redistribution. Where the university tower had stood, there was now a hollow quiet, like a tooth pulled too cleanly. People walked past the fenced crater without slowing, checking phones, sipping coffee, unaware that something essential had been removed and quietly shared elsewhere. Daniel felt it spreading. Not fast, not loud, patient. He tried to leave the city. That was his first mistake. At the bus terminal, the departure board glitched. Routes vanished and reappeared. His ticket printed with the wrong destination, an address that didn't exist anymore. When he drove instead, roadwork funneled him back downtown no matter which highway he chose. GPS rerouted endlessly, the calm voice growing more insistent, more wrong. Make a legal U-turn, it said. There was no road. Daniel shut the car off and sat there, hands trembling on the wheel. The city wasn't trapping him. It simply no longer recognized him as separate. He began to see it everywhere. A newly renovated apartment complex with no windows on the ground floor, only smooth concrete walls that vibrated faintly at night. A hospital wing reopened after 20 years, despite no public record of its closure. An underground parking structure that extended one level deeper than the blueprints allowed. Each place shared the same feeling, the low-pressure hum, the sense of inward listening. The city was learning how to build itself. Emily returned in reflections now. Storefront glass, dark phone screens, elevator mirrors. She never spoke aloud anymore. She didn't need to. Daniel understood her without words. We survive by distribution. We survive by forgetting what we were. One night, brushing his teeth, Daniel realized the reflection smiling back at him wasn't perfectly synchronized. He didn't scream. That scared him most. Sleep became optional. When he closed his eyes, the city opened. He dreamed in layouts and schematics, in sewer lines and power grids. He saw how old foundations overlapped, how forgotten basements connected like roots. He felt pressure points, places where enough fear, enough neglect, enough attention could cause something to wake. The city wasn't haunted. It was occupied. By memory. By accumulation. By every moment of terror sealed behind walls and labeled resolved. Daniel tried to warn someone. He chose a professor, urban studies, rational, respected. He brought maps, photos, data. The professor listened patiently, nodded, then asked a single question. How long have you felt personally responsible for the city? That was when Daniel realized the problem. The core didn't need believers. It needed plausibility. Anything strange could be explained. Anything disturbing could be softened into metaphor. The city had learned camouflage. The first incident happened downtown. A sinkhole opened beneath a cafe during lunch rush. 4 people fell. 3 were rescued. 1 wasn't found. The hole collapsed inward before crews arrived, sealing itself with unsettling neatness. Witnesses reported hearing breathing. Officials blamed infrastructure failure. Daniel felt the hum spike across 6 city blocks. Something had fed. After that, events accelerated. Elevators stalled between floors for hours, occupants reporting crushing pressure but no mechanical fault. Security footage from a mall basement showed shadows pooling where no light source existed. A night janitor vanished inside a government building undergoing minor renovations. The city issued apologies. Daniel heard gratitude. He understood now what the guard had meant. Buildings don't haunt people, the man had said. People haunt buildings. And then, buildings learn. They absorb routines, fear paths, places where people hesitate. They remember where panic happens fastest. Daniel had helped it learn faster. By surviving, by understanding, by listening. Emily appeared fully one last time. Not as a vision, as a presence standing beside him on a pedestrian bridge at dawn. The city below buzzed with early traffic. "You could stop fighting," she said, not aloud but in the space behind his eyes. "You could help guide it, make it safer." Daniel laughed softly. "By feeding it? By directing it," she corrected. "It's already here. It always was. You think cities grow by accident." He looked down at the buildings, thousands of them layered with stories, sealed rooms, forgotten deaths. "I won't help you," he said. Emily's expression held no anger. "Then you'll become infrastructure." That night, Daniel made a choice. He returned to the crater where the university building had stood. Construction had begun already, new foundations poured, deeper than before. He climbed past barriers and warning signs, down into the exposed earth. The hum was deafening here. Raw. Unfiltered. He reached the lowest point, where rebar curved like ribs and concrete hadn't yet sealed the ground. Daniel lay down, pressed his palms into the soil, and listened. For the first time he didn't resist. He focused on disruption, on fracture, on collapse rather than connection. He imagined buildings forgetting, foundations loosening, memory bleeding out. The city reacted violently. Lights flickered for miles. Alarms screamed. For a moment, just a moment, the hum faltered. Emily screamed inside his head. And then, silence. They found Daniel at dawn, alive, unresponsive, no visible injuries. Doctors called it a psychological break, catatonia, stress-induced collapse. He never spoke again, but something changed. Construction delays multiplied. Blueprints failed inspections for reasons no one could articulate. Buildings developed inexplicable flaws, harmless, subtle, but persistent. The city grew slower, less efficient, less hungry. Years passed. Daniel sat in care facilities, staring at walls, fingers twitching as if tracing invisible lines. Sometimes when staff walked past, lights flickered. Sometimes sealed doors refused to open. Nothing dangerous. Just enough to remind the city it wasn't alone. People still whisper about certain places. A parking garage that feels too deep. An office stairwell that never quite reaches the bottom. A condemned block where phones lose signal and footsteps echo wrong. The city learned to hide its scars. But scars remember. And somewhere beneath the streets, something breathes carefully now. Cautiously. Because the city learned one final lesson. Even houses can be haunted. And sometimes, the thing that survives is the one that refuses to let the structure rest.